What's up, guys? This is your boy JDTheCollector. We're here at Burbank SportsCard with Marc, aka UltimatePastime. Today, we're gonna do a little shopping, see what he's feeling, see what he's not. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go. All right, Marc. So everybody knows you're Mr. Buy What You Like, but they don't know the backstory, the beginning. So let's just talk about how it first started from the beginning.
The backstory, when I was a kid, like I collected baseball cards like all kids do.
Yeah.
And we'd go to these baseball card shows. My mom, my dad would drive me to these shows, you know, after my school was done and baseball practice was over, we'd go to these shops and shows. Back in the day, card shops were like Starbucks are today. Like you could literally find them like on every corner. And it was cool. So we were at the show one time and my grandfather actually took me. And this guy sitting behind the booth, this is 1991, I was 14 years old. And he has a mound of cards. I'm not kidding you. Like this is a mound of cards, right?
Something like this?
No, it was 80s and 90s stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And he goes, I'm done with this business. $300, take it all. And my grandpa looks at me, he said, Marc, do you want it? I said, yeah, but Pops, I don't have $300. You know, I was a kid at the time. And he said, I'll tell you what I'll do. He said, I'll pay for it. But as you sell it, you got to pay me back. But you got to do it the right way. He goes, you got to go out, you have to get a business checking account, you got to get a resale license, and you have to come here and start like trying to sell the stuff that we're buying right here. I said, all right, Pops, you got a deal. He said, but one thing, he said, if your grades slip, that's it, I'm taking everything back. Oof. I said, all right, Pops, you got a deal. So we called my mom, she had the big old station wagon like back in the day, right?
Yeah.
Comes down, loads it up, man, and we loaded this thing up. There were so many cards, which the stuff today is now like kind of worthless. It was all 80s and 90s stuff, but at the time that was the last boom that we had. And so I go and I do all my homework and finish my school and baseball practice, and I'd go to this show and I'd set up there like religiously.
Yeah.
And the promoter comes up to me one day and he said, hey, you know, we're having Ernie Banks come and sign autographs.
Mr. Cub.
He said, do you want to sit next to him and take tickets? I said, man, it'd be an honor. Like my mom's from Chicago, my grandma's from Chicago. I know all about the Cubs. WGN, I don't know. You're probably too young
I
for
know. There's a baseball broadcast,
but
right?
You're probably too young for this. Back in the day, up until like 89 or 90, Wrigley Field didn't have lights. So every Cubs game, home game, was a day game.
Oh.
So I'd pretend like I was sick so I could stay home. I love baseball so much. I could watch daytime baseball, you know? Like it was pretty cool. So I said, I'd love to work with Ernie Banks. So Ernie Banks shows up, and I worked with him for like 6 or 8 hours that day, and he was really intrigued that at 14 years old, I was kind of doing what I'm doing today. You know, I had my own little setup and this and that. So at the end of the signing, he said, he goes, hey, Marc, he goes, I want to invest in you. Like that.
Yeah.
I said, invest in me? What do you mean? He goes, I love what you're doing. He said, go get whatever you want. He goes, I want to sign it for you for free. You know, they were charging money at the time. It wasn't like they get today, but they were charging money at the time. I had enough money in my pocket for 2 baseballs. So I went, I got 2 baseballs. He signed one of them, HOF 77, and one of them, Mr. Cub. And I ended up putting them into like my inventory, you know? And I sold them over time. And after that, the relationship that I built with Ernie, he would call the house. We didn't have cell phones back then. He would call the house literally all the time and was like, hey, is Marc there? And at one point, my mom's kind of like, you know, my dad was like, hey, what's going on, you know? It's kind of weird. Well, my dad traveled a lot when I was a kid. So he accumulated all these frequent flyer miles. So we never had to pay for airfare.
Oh, wow.
We were lucky. So when the Nationals would come up, well, 91 was in Anaheim. That was my first National. But like I think 92 was Chicago, then Cleveland, Atlanta, Houston, Atlantic City. Like we got to go to all those because we didn't have to pay the airfare. And Ernie Banks was always there. So he would take me in the back, introduce me to other Hall of Famers and agents and stuff like that. And that's how like I started like my marketing business. And like I always say, the best advertisement is word of mouth.
Yep,
man, and that's
I agree.
Proof of that.
And I agree 100%. So that's what I want to get into. A lot of people know you as Mr. Buy What You Like. You're always at the shows, buying this, buying that, buying deals. But not everybody knows what you really do, which is signing memorabilia, events, hosting events like yesterday.
Sports marketing.
Yes.
We do a lot of sports marketing.
Yes. So just talk about that really of what you really do. It's not a lot of people know.
Sure. We provide professional athletes for public appearances, and we, you know, for autograph signings, for commercial deals, for endorsements, or anything like that one of our clients or somebody that we have access to that we can help out, we're always willing to do that.
All right. So Marc, you talked about you doing signing memorabilia, sports marketing. So there's a lot of athletes you worked with before, right? Let me name a few. Kobe, right? Kobe, Shaq, Alex Morgan, who else? Floyd Mayweather, everybody. So out of all those people, has there ever been a time you're just like, hold on, let me take a step back and just think who I'm working with right now?
Absolutely, and it's not always what you think it is. It's people like you run into, and when you're least expecting it. Pedro Guerrero is one of my clients.
Yeah, I remember.
And we were doing a thing over at the Old Timers Day at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah.
And I picked him up that morning, or I'm sorry, the day before, and I picked him up at the airport, and I said, hey, Pedro, you excited for today? He goes, oh, man, I get to see some of the old teammates. He goes, how about you? I said, it's great. I get to see all the people I haven't seen, in a while. And I said, but I'll tell you what. I said, if Sandy Koufax is here today, that was like my dad's favorite player. I'd love to get to meet him one day. I'd never met him. And I just thought it went in one ear out the other. So we're here at this luncheon at the Stadium Club, and
I remember you were recording on Instagram. I remember that whole day.
So no, this is a different day.
Oh, it's a different. Okay.
A couple years. This is like 2017.
Oh, they're talking about this year.
And
okay.
And so we're inside the Stadium Club and doing the. Like they're talking about how it's going to be a live broadcast, so everyone's mic'd up. So like, watch your language. Just telling them like all the different things. So we're at this brunch, and all of a sudden, Pedro's like, Mark, come on. I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, what's he doing? Like the GM of the Dodgers up here talking right now. He's like, no, come on. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I like tiptoe over. I go, Pedro, what's going on, man? And he goes, you said you wanted to meet Sandy Koufax. And Koufax just leaned up on the wall like this, dude. And I was like, oh my God, dude. Like, he goes, tell him about your dad. I didn't even think that Pedro remembered that I was interested in doing that. But, like, those are the relationships you build. Like, he knew how special that would be to me. He's like, tell him about your dad. So, with Sandy for, like, just getting to talk to him. And that was one of those moments where I had to, like, take a step back. Like, wow, am I really here?
I know. This is really, like you said, the relationships over time. We talked to Wiley about maybe a few minutes ago, like an hour or so ago. We were just talking about the relationships. I go to these shows and everybody's like, oh, how are you doing? Are you selling? Are you buying? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm not going there just for the money. I'm going there to meet people like you, like how we did at
You're going there for the right reason.
Yeah.
Because whether you do a deal with somebody or not that day, if you build that relationship, there's going to open that door to future deals. More
doors open and it's going to be priceless. And that's the most important thing that people don't get is this, oh, I'm selling this for X amount, look at me. But I'm going in there thinking, okay, I'm starting. I want to network. I want to meet different people, people like you, help me out. Because the one thing is, I told you this before, you're a walking encyclopedia. I know you don't want to hear it, but you are.
It's just being around it for so long. And like, I don't hold back. Like, I'm not going to feed you a bunch of BS. I'm not going to feed anybody. When I go on my stories on Instagram and stuff like that, I never try to sell anything. I never try to sell anything. It's just giving what I feel is advice to people to keep this hobby strong. Yeah,
so that's another thing I want to talk about is your Instagram. A lot of people don't realize what you're saying. I feel that it's free money, free game for me. Again, we talked about this numerous times, but the stuff that you tell me, I'm a type of person where I listen to people like you. I take it in, I flip it, I make it where it works for me or benefits me. I don't look at
myself as like an influencer.
Oh, I know, but that's the thing I like about you. You're just natural.
I just get out there and say what's on my mind. There'll be times where, I'm driving, I'm like, hey, you know what, let me tell people about this. And then there's times where I'm going to get messages from people and they're going to be like, dude, like hate messages, like you give out too much information, don't tell people that, but those are the people that you want to stay away from because they're the ones that just try and take advantage of the fire.
And that's true.
And new guys in the industry.
This is the stuff that you bring out, just saying, when the market dip, first thing you say is, don't worry, don't panic. I was like, I feel like you were talking to me when you said that because I'm panicking. I'm like, okay, I bought something at X amount, now it dropped 50% or something like that, right?
But here's the thing, when something like that happens, there's still a current market. It's not worth zero. Okay, so what you can do is you can take the loss on that item, okay, knowing you're taking a loss, but put it into something you think is going to gain profit
and that's what
in
you
the
said.
future, and you're going and you're going to compensate that loss.
And then when you said that, I was like, okay, let me step back and just think, okay, I'm not going to panic. Let's listen to what he got to say and then just try to make it work.
When the hobby when it got going, like I had a guy come up to me and he's like, oh my God, I can't believe Kobe Topps PSA 10s are down to $8,500. And I'm thinking to myself, $8,500? That card was $100 card.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
For 10 years straight, you could have bought a PSA 10 Topps for, $100. And now, because somebody pumped it up to $10,000 and he bought it for $7,000. He thinking he got a deal and it's down to $85,000. Like it's mind-boggling to me. It really is.
One thing is, you're a buyer, you're a seller.
Sure.
You have a booth at Jimmy's. That's where I love going. That's how I met you.
Oh yeah, I'm never there though, but Jimmy's is a great place to go.
Yeah. So one thing is, people want to buy off latest comp. People don't want to buy off comp. They want to try to short end them. But on our side, we want to try to get as much value as we can. So what I want to know is, when you're negotiating with people, do you just try to stay near a comp, or do you just try to let the negotiation just flow and see where it goes from there?
You know, I try to stay pretty even. I mean, everybody uses eBay as a comp,
Yeah.
okay? Because it's something's only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, right now, eBay is a great place to buy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great place to buy stuff. I buy a lot of stuff on eBay, and the stuff that I'm buying has gone up significantly since I started buying it, you know?
Yeah.
But it's still a great place to buy. So if somebody has something that I want, and if it's close to a comp, I'm just going to buy it.
Yeah, and then
I'm not going to say I need it for 25% less, because guess what? If I was sitting at home on eBay, which at the end of the day, you're saving a lot of time and money just sitting home and just bidding on stuff. Like, you don't have to go out anywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, I could sit in my office and literally just buy all day.
Yeah.
And make money. I could bring it to shows and make money on it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, people want to buy, but they're scared to sell on eBay because of the fees. Because, you know, there's
It's all part of a business. So if you want to be a collector, you're a collector. If you want to be an investor/dealer, you're a dealer. And guess what comes with being a dealer, man?
Fees.
And taxes and overhead and expenses. It's all part of the game. So, I mean, you got to choose what side you're on.
And I remember you telling me, you said, who cares if the fees? If you're making money, you're doing something right.
Exactly.
So that's how I saw it too. All right, Mark, you're known as Mr. Buy What You Like, but not a lot of people know where that came about. So let's talk about the origin of that story, or that saying, actually.
Back in the day, I mean, before this boom, way back in the day, people would ask me, hey, like, what should I buy? Like, what should I buy? And I would always ask them, same thing we just talked about. Are you a collector? Are you doing it as a hobby? Or are you an investor? You want to do it like as a future business, you know what I mean? And you can be a collector and try to invest, but if you're buying into the hype, chances are, you know what I mean? Like, if you buy into all these base Zions and all that stuff, like, people got caught up in it. And it's one of those things. But so I always say buy what you like, because if you like it, no matter what the value is, you're always going to like it. It's always going to have sentimental value.
Yeah. You said in the beginning is you should try to stay away from graded cards, right? Because their value goes up and down, up and down. But you said raw cards with autos and signatures and everything hold its value.
No, I think graded cards.
It's opposite.
Yeah. No. I think they're both good. I think graded cards, I mean, a 9's a 9, it's mint. You know? So if you want a mint copy of a card, you can't afford a 10, a 9's a great opportunity for you to buy something like that. If you just want a mint copy of a rookie card. The stuff I personally go after, and I call them safe buys, is the Hall of Famer autographs. Yeah. Like, there's going to become a day where these guys aren't going to be signing anymore. And it's mind-boggling to me that, like, as far as like on the memorabilia end of it, that you can buy a Willie Mays baseball and a Hank Aaron baseball for both of them for less than the price of a trout ball. Like, how is that? Like, the greatest living legend of all time, Willie Mays, and Hank Aaron, the home run king, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. How can you buy both of those balls for less than the price of a trout ball? It doesn't make any sense. So I think there's so much potential for a lot of that stuff. And that's why I say, buy what you like. Yeah, so we're over there in the section. You're telling me all those, I guess, what year, I don't know what year, but the Don Russ baseball. You're saying those cards are undervalued. Do you think that... we're at the vintage. Yeah, the vintage section. Vintage, yeah. Don Russ didn't come out till 81. 81, okay. Yeah, so that was like the vintage, like all the old top stuff. Yeah. So do you think that section is going to hold more value over time than modern cards, I guess? I think raw vintage is so much fun because you can buy an original Sandy Koufax, Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle for a fraction of the price. But every card has a story. You think about it. If it's a crease, if it has a pinhole, like that pinhole was put on somebody's bulletin board as a kid or hanging on their wall. That crease could have been in your grandfather's bike spokes. You know what I mean? And he could have owned that card. Like, there's a story behind all the vintage. I just think it's a great opportunity to buy like an actual piece of history from a Hall of Famer at a very affordable price. So one thing is, you were telling me a story when you were on TV that you didn't know of at the Dodger game. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So talk about that, because you were like, you weren't really paying
I had
attention.
no idea. So when you get these clients, they become friends and then they eventually become family. Okay?
Yeah.
I've got several former athletes that are like that to us, but one of them is Pedro Guerrero. He suffered from 2 severe strokes, and he just needed a little bit of assistance. So at the Dodgers Old Timers game, he's like, "Hey, Mark, I need you to help me out." I'm like, "Okay, cool. I helped you get down the dugout." And he's like, "No, I need you to like walk me onto the field and do it." I said, "All right, Pete, you sure?" He's like, "Yep, let's do it." So we did that. So it worked out good.
That was crazy. And you're right by Justin Turner, right?
Yeah,
that's what you're
my
telling.
buddy, man. I've known JT a long time. He's probably my favorite Dodger, for sure.
So that's the thing, relationships. You talked
Absolutely.
about it, just building relationships throughout time, and just the importance of it, right?
It's the most important.
Yeah.
Because that's something that nobody can ever take away from you is your integrity and your reputation.
Yeah.
They can steal your shirt, they can steal your shoes, they can steal your car, they can break into your house. They're never going to take your reputation from you.
Yeah. So I guess that's one of the secrets of being in this business for so long, right?
Reputation. You know what? I was raised to treat people how you want to be treated. It's not that hard, man.
Just respect.
It's not that hard.
Mark, so we're here at the Fishbowl in Burbank. As you can see, thousands of cards here, marked by players, sport, baseball, anything you could think of is here. So growing up, obviously you didn't have all this selection, but growing up, what were you collecting?
Gosh. This is awesome. So I mean, I was an 80s, 90s kid. I had the 80s Ripken was my guy, and 90s it was Griffey.
Whew. So talk about the Ripken card you were talking about.
That Ripken card. So I was 15 years old, and we were at that card show we were talking about earlier. And my dad's like, "Hey, let's get a box of this." It was 1992 Don Russ. It's all right, cool. He knew Ripken was my favorite player. You know? And one of the first certified autographs that you could get was a Cal Ripken Jr. Don Russ Elite signature. And we're opening them, and like, there's really nothing to write home about in these packs. Like you're looking at, you might get a Diamond King or something like that.
Yeah.
It's all base stuff. And my dad's like, "Oh, this one has writing on it." And I'm like, "No way." I'm thinking, well, the only way a card in here could have writing on it would be a Ripken. And she turns it around. I'm like, "Oh my God." So, I was like my second year in my business at the time. We took it to a local shop, and they offered me $300 in cash and $100 in trade.
Oh, and wow.
I was like, no. My dad's like, no, sell it and put that money into other stuff into your business. So
yeah,
we do. So I ended up taking the deal, and that's my biggest regret ever, because just the history and the sentimental value of opening that card up like with my dad. It was number 673 of 5,000. I own about 7 different copies of that card right now, but none of them are 673 of 5,000. If I ever find that card, I'd probably pay $2-3 grand for it just to have that original card back. I mean, that's how special it is to me.
Yeah, so I have 2 girls, so I want to collect for them too. So I want to do something like that similar, so where it has sentimental value for me and for them, so that way later down the line we could be like, okay, we have this memory, a nostalgic memory of like, remember when we were at Burbank, you ripped it open and and something like that. I can't wait to have with my kids.
And that's what's cool. Like a couple weeks ago, I put on my story like, what was your best memory of opening cards? And my son, who is not even into collectibles or anything like that, because he's been around his whole life, he's like opening up a pack of wrestling cards with you and pulling a Sheamus relic.
Yeah, I saw that.
Well,
I saw that.
Little did he know, like, I'm a pack rat. I save everything. My warehouse is loaded from ceiling to ground to the ceiling. And so I went, and after he answered that, I went and I pulled that card out and I showed it to him, and like it was so cool to like give that back to him, because that was the exact card that we pulled together. It was really cool.
The memories is like priceless, right?
Absolutely.
You'll never get those back.
Nope.
So one thing is, you're at shows every week, every time. Always. So one thing you tell everybody is like, forget all these graded cards, $1,000 cards. Why don't you guys check the value box, dollar cards? That way you find hidden gems there that you could flip to make it possibly buy something expensive.
It's like the thrill of the hunt, man.
Yeah.
Look at it. People going through boxes here, and they can literally, they can buy what they like, and it's so easy to go through the stuff here. And if you buy $10 worth of Nolan Ryan cards or Michael Jordan cards, it's not going to break the bank, and you like it.
Yeah. And that's one thing I bought.
And you might find some $20, $30, $50 cards in these dollar boxes.
Yeah, you never know. That's why people don't want to take the time. But trust me, if you put in the time in there, you'll find something.
Everything.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you coming through.
Oh, of course.
You told amazing stories.
Oh,
we could go for hours, but now we'll do the easiest part. Buy what you see, what you like around here, and buy what you like. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right, thank you.
want to know if I can grab something out of this case, though.
Of course.
Elgin Baylor premium one there.
Okay.
This could be one of Elgin Baylor's very last signed cards.
It could be.
He passed away in March of 2021.
Yeah, one of all-time
I mean,
greats.
on card for $100? Come on,
Yeah.
dude, I'll take it.
You got it, man.
There it is. Mark came through, told some awesome stories, bought some cool card actually.
Yeah, great card.
Thank you for coming. Thank you to Burbank, Rob, for letting us film here.
Of course.
You got anything?
No, man, this place is awesome. If you guys haven't checked out Burbank SportsCards, check it out. Follow you on Instagram, man. Go ahead and plug it out there.
JDTheCollector, and of course,
JDTheCollector.
Ultimate
No,
Pastime.
seriously, make sure you watch that YouTube. He's got big things coming up, man. Good
Thank you,
job, all right?
thank you. Thank you, guys.